therefore becomes more important than ever because the profession is no longer about checking arithmetic. It's about evaluating judgment. Let us talk about the evolution of every article. Stage 1, the fresh article, the first audit, first client, first voucher verification. At this stage, every document looks genuine. Every explanation sounds logical. Every balance appears correct because we assume that if something is written, it must be true. Then comes stage 2, the review note stage. We prepare our work, we submit the file proudly, and then the files comes back. Covered in review comments, question everywhere. Why? How satisfied? Source? Where the evidence are? Who confirmed? At first, we feel the partner is being too strict. Later, we realize something. The partner is not doubting us, the partner is teaching us how to think. Stage 3, something changes. Now, when management gives an explanation, we automatically think what supports this explanation? What contradicts it? What else should I verify? At this point, professional skepticism starts becoming a habit, not a procedure, a habit. Now let us discuss some statements that every article has heard. Statements that sound comforting but often deserve additional scrutiny. Last year भी ऐसे ही हुआ था because this statement immediately reduces questioning. Professional skepticism asks, has the law changed? Has the business changed? Or has the transaction changed? Yesterday's answer is not automatically the today's answer. Management's approved it. It's the statement second that most of our articles heard because approval only tells who is responsible when things go wrong. It doesn't tell you that the numbers are right. Everything is supported by documents. Just because an expense has an invoice, it doesn't mean it actually happened. Even the Harry Potter had books, but that doesn't mean Hogwarts is real. This is a routine transaction. One of the most common and the dangerous statement. सर ये तो हमारा रोज का काम है इसमें तो कोई रिस्क नहीं है because nobody questions them. Everyone becomes comfortable, and comfort is the enemy of professional skepticism. So, which statement should immediately trigger professional skepticism? Option A, everything is supported by documents. Option B, this is a routine transaction. Option C, last year भी ऐसे ही हुआ था. Option D, all of the above. What do you think?
Everyone can put their answers in the chat box. Whatever they think about, they can put in the chat box. So most of them have said yes, D. We have got many answers, and most of them are saying that D is the answer to this.
Okay, so the correct answer is D. Allow us to begin with a simple story. Imagine a watchman who walks around a building every night. He looks at every door, every window, every gate. One day, a theft occurs. When questioned, he confidently replies, I checked the entire building. Management asks, did you check whether the doors were locked? He replies, no, I only looked at them. Now think about this. The difference between looking and checking is small, but the consequences can be huge. Similarly, the difference between performing an audit procedure and critically evaluating the result of that procedure is professional skepticism. As articles, we often begin by looking. Professional skepticism teaches us to check. Before we proceed, let's test our own understanding. Which of the following best describe professional skepticism? Assuming management is dishonest, questioning everything without exception, having a questioning mind and critically evaluating evidence, trusting one third party evidences.
Option C is what people are answering to, aspirants are answering to.
The correct answer is option C.
According to Essay 200, professional skepticism is an attitude that includes a questioning mind, being alert to conditions which may indicate possible misstatement due to error or fraud, and a critical assessment of audit evidence. Notice something interesting. The definition does not start with fraud. It does not start with suspicion. It starts with a questioning mind. Many people misunderstand professional skepticism. They believe it means distrusting clients, assuming management is dishonest, rejecting explanations. That is not what the standard says. Professional skepticism does not mean I don't trust you. Professional skepticism means help me understand. And that distinction changes everything.
But why we are discussing that professional skepticism is important? Because professional skepticism is just the foundation from which we detect audit risk, and after that our opinion was formed. One of the most important lessons we learned during articleship relates to audit evidence. According to SA 500, audit evidences must be sufficient and appropriate. As article, we often focus on sufficiency. Partners focus on appropriateness because 100 pages of weak evidences may be less persuasive than one strong independent confirmation. The objective is not collecting document. The objective is obtaining reliable evidences. Many of us had immense faith in Excel. If the total matches, the formula works, and the schedule balances, we feel comfortable. But the articleship teaches us that the number can be perfectly accurate and still be completely misleading. A spreadsheet can tell us what happened, but the professional skeptics help us to understand why it happened, and often the why is more important than the number itself.
Now, let us have a quick technical question. Which audit evidence is generally considered most reliable? Management representation, internal reports, oral explanation, independent third party confirmation.
We are getting responses. So here we have mixed responses, Aastha, Shreya. We have D as majority and C as a mix of this.
The correct answer is,
Is
option
option
D.
D.
Independent third party confirmation.
Because you can't rely on oral explanation.
True.
One fascinating observation during articleship is watching partners review files. Partners rarely spend the most time on the largest numbers. Instead, they focus on unusual numbers, unexpected fluctuations, transactions that simply don't make sense. As articles, we often wonder, how did they notice that? The answer is not magic. It is years of practicing professional skepticism.
Knowledge tells us what should happen. Experience tells us what usually happens. Professional skepticism asks what actually happened. And perhaps that is why partner reviews are so valuable because they challenge assumptions, not just conclusions. Suppose an article writes verified and found correct. What should be the next question? Who prepared it? Who approved it? Who did you verify it? Who posted it?
The question is in the tab. Answer will be- Answer will be correct. Okay. So, why professional skepticism fails? If professional skepticism is so important, why do professionals sometimes struggle with it? The answer lies in human psychology. Familiarity bias, long standing clients, known management, repeated transactions. The more familiar something becomes, the less likely we are to question it. Confirmation bias, we search for evidence supporting our conclusion instead of evidence challenging it. Professional skepticism forces us to ask, what if I am wrong? Time pressure, deadlines, reporting schedules, busy season. Sometimes we stop asking why and start asking when can we finish? Overconfidence, the belief that because we have seen something before, we fully understand it. History repeatedly proves otherwise. So, what is the biggest threat to professional skepticism? Lack of knowledge, lack of time, familiarity with client, all of the above. So the correct answer is familiarity with client. There is a famous phrase often quoted in governance and auditing: trust but verify. As professionals, we build trust with clients. Many relationships span years, sometimes decades. But as chartered accountants, we also carry responsibility, and responsibility requires verification. Perhaps no phrase captures professional skepticism better than these three words: trust but verify.
Lesson from Satyam. Satyam proved that the clever fraudster can always manufacture a perfect paper trail. If you just check the boxes and matches numbers, you aren't auditing, you are just proofreading a fiction novel.
Ethics tells us what is right. Professional skepticism tells us identify when something may be wrong. The two are inseparable. Professional may possess technical knowledge. A professional may possess experience. But without ethical courage and skepticism, risk may go unnoticed. The public trust chartered accountants because they believe we will ask difficult questions when necessary. And that trust is one of the profession's greatest responsibilities. Let us consider a simple example. Revenue increased by 60%, profit increased by 70%, debtors increased by 300%. What should be the auditor's first reaction? Congratulate management, accept explanation, perform additional analysis, no action required.
Responses has come as C to this.
The correct answer is C.
Okay.
The objective of our work may change from one department to another, but the mindset remains the same. In audit, our objective is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. The practical question is the evidence sufficient and appropriate, or am I simply accepting management's explanation? In income tax, our objective is to ensure compliance while taking legally sustainable position. This practical question: can this claim, deduction, exemption, or position be defended if questioned by the tax authorities? In TDS compliance, our objective is to ensure that tax has been deducted or deposited correctly. This practical question is: should TDS be deducted on this transaction at all? If yes, under which section and at which rate? In GST, our objective is to ensure correct tax treatment and maximize compliance benefits available under law. This practical question is this supply correctly classified? Is the input tax credit genuinely eligible? Have all the conditions been satisfied? In consultancy and advisory, our objective is to provide practical and implementable solution. This practical question: are these assumptions realistic? Will these recommendations actually work in the client's place business environment? In law and secretarial compliance, our objective is to ensure legal compliance and proper governance. This practical question: has every procedure requirement have been compliant for that? It's a way of thinking. The assignment changes, the department changes, the law changes, but the habit remains the same: to pause, to verify, to challenge assumption, and most importantly, to ask one more question: why?
Aastha, you mean that whatever be the environment, whatever be the client, whatever be the law, but there is one consistent thing, which is why that thing is happening, or why that process is being followed, or why that deduction is there, or why the nature of that particular transaction is so. So
Yes.
that is what you are trying to bring to all of us with respect to the professional skepticism, that why nature of your question has to be there for every time whenever you are going to any kind of an audit assignment or any kind of an audit objective.
Yes, sir.
The only single habit, professional skepticism, which we have to maintain.
A questioning mind.
Yeah, good. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please. Now, as articles, we often face a very practical dilemma. On one hand, the standards tell us to be fiercely skeptical. On the other hand, we are sitting in the client's office, relying on their accounts team to provide us with data, files, and even a place to sit. How do we ask deep questions without turning the audit room into a hostile interrogation chamber? Professional skepticism is not about aggression, it is about precision. It is an art of inquiry.
Exactly. If we approach the client with a critical tone, their immediate reaction will be defensive. They will delay data, withhold insights, and close them. Instead of saying, these entries look suspicious, why did you pass it? We will try to say, could you help me walk through the business logic behind this transaction? Instead of saying, your valuation assumptions are completely unrealistic, we'll try to say, what historical internal data or market benchmarks did you rely on to arrive at these numbers? I cannot accept this verbal explanation. After that, try saying, to ensure our documentation completely captures your perspective, what supporting trail can we attach?
Skepticism does not mean losing our manners. A true skeptical auditor listens 80% of the time and questions 20% of the time. When a client speaks, don't just wait for your turn to counter. Listen to the gaps, the hesitations, and what is left unsaid. That is where the audit risks hide.
Let us step away from the theory and look at the two real world scenarios that we, as articles, face during our routine field work. These are moments where simple ticking could lead to disaster, but thinking changes the game. Case study 1. A magical March boost. You are verifying subsequent bank realization from trade receivables in April. You see that a massive outstanding debtor of 50 lakhs from March 31st cleared on April. A direct bank transfer. A normal checklist is amount received, in bank, balance verified, tick. But a practical mind look closer at the bank statement. You trace at the fund flow and realize that the client advanced identical loan to a newly formal vendor entity.
What looked like a genuine realization of a debtor was actually a circular routing of funds to temporarily dress up the balance sheet for the year end presentation. If you only looked at the April 3rd entry, you missed the story. You are auditing case 32. You are auditing additions to plant and machinery. The client provides a pristine invoice from a vendor for a custom CNC machine worth rupees 1 crore. The invoice has a serial number, GSTIN, and an approval stamp. Skepticism prompts you to do a quick external validation. You look up the GSTIN on the portal. It belongs to a defunct textile trading firm, not a machine manufacturer. You physically visit the factory floor to verify the machine. It exists, but the nameplate shows a manufacturing date from 10 years ago. It was a second hand asset as a brand new purchase to inflate depreciation claims and capitalize artificial cost. Never let a piece of paper override physical or independent digital reality.
As we conclude, we would like to leave everyone with one final thought. As articles, we entered the profession believing that success depends upon knowing answer. But articleship taught us something different. Success often depends upon asking better questions. Professional skepticism is not merely a requirement under SA 200. It is not merely a audit concept. It is not merely a professional obligation. It's a habit of curiosity, a habit of independent thinking, a habit of responsible judgment. And perhaps that is why every great chartered accountant, irrespective of service line, designation, or experience, continues asking one simple question: why? Because the day we stop asking question is the day we stop growing as professionals.
To our fellow articles and colleagues, let us share one practical truth about the regulatory landscape we operate in today. With oversight bodies like NAFRA and ICAI actively reviewing financial reporting quality, the standard of accountability has never been higher. In an audit review, if a critical matter arises, the regulators do not just ask, "What did you conclude?" They ask, "How did you challenge management to get there?" And in the world of auditing, there is a golden rule: what is not documented is not done. If we notice a complex related party transaction, have an intense discussion with the CFO, receive a logical explanation, and walk away satisfied, but write absolutely nothing in our working papers, the law assumes we were asleep at the wheel. Our working papers must explicitly document our skepticism. The challenge: what was the initial anomaly or management assumption we identified? What specific additional evidence or independent confirmation did we demand? The evaluation: how did we verify that explanation against external benchmarks? Documenting your questions and the contradictory evidence you evaluated is not extra paperwork. It is ultimate proof of your professional integrity and the ultimate protection of our firm. Charlie Munger once said, "Knowing what you don't know is more useful than being brilliant." Because in our profession, mistakes often arise not from lack of knowledge, but from the assumption that we already know enough. Professional skepticism reminds us to stay curious, question our conclusions, and remain openly to the possibility that there may be something we have missed. As articles, perhaps the biggest lesson we learn is that confidence should never replace curiosity. Knowledge tells us where to look. Experience tells us what to look for. Professional skepticism tells us what questions to ask. And perhaps that is the most valuable lesson articleship teaches us. Thank you.
Great. Aastha and Shreya, it was great to hear you. It was very well curated slides covering practical examples with the theoretical what does it means, standards as well. So it was great to hear the professional skepticism. I think I have gone back to my days when I started learning about the profession. So I think I should start asking more whys now rather than just thinking, rather than just accepting the standards itself. So probably I need to start more whys going forward. So here we are open for any kind of questions to Aastha or any kind of thing if anyone does have, because post that we will have our next speakers here who will be conducting who will be taking us through another topic, which I think already Aastha and Shreya has related to, which is organizing the audit documentation, because having a professional skepticism but not drafting the documentation may lead to a incomplete story, which is very true. Uh, so, we have one question from Rahul. He is saying, I have a question that who is ultimately responsible for sending external confirmation, auditor or client, and whether we have to ask for negative assertion, and which confirmation is reliable, received directly from external party or via client. Aastha, Shreya, if you would like to answer first.
Client, the answer is client, sir.
Hmm. And the second one is whether we have to ask for negative assertion and which confirmation is reliable. Directly from
depends.
external.
It depends.
It depends on the risk of material misstatement.
So basis, so first answer is yes, it should be going from the client. You are saying this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the second thing is you are saying that the assertions and the confirmation is based on the materiality of the evidence which we are collecting.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
I hope, Rahul, you have got your answer here. So great effort, guys. I appreciate your effort coming in and speaking about this professional skepticism as an ethical topic for us. Thank you so much for bringing this topic to us. And now I would like to, if we can go ahead, and I would like to ask Khushi as well as Anisha, who will be taking, who are from Bhargava, and they will be taking us through organizing audit documentation. Hi, Khushi.
Yes. Hello,
Hi,
sir.
Anisha.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
So, shall we start?
Yes, sir. We are sharing our screen. Just a
Yeah,
minute.
sure.
Sir, it's saying that some other participant is sharing their screen, so we cannot.
Okay, Aastha. Okay, let me. Now you can share your screen.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you, Shreya and Astha, for the insightful session. And good evening, everyone. I am Khushi Bhargava, and with me is Anisha Sharma. We both are CA articles from S. Bhargava Associates, and we are your second presenting team today. So before I start, I have one question to everybody, and I really want you all to think about this and not just hear it. If you went on a leave tomorrow, so if you went on a leave tomorrow and your phones are off, you are completely unreachable, could someone on your team pick up your audit file and continue your work without calling you even once? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, I think we are. So, as the first team just spoke about professional skepticism, questioning, verifying, not just accepting what you are told, this is the mindset and this is the right one. But here's the thing, skepticism only works if you can document what you verified. You can question everything, challenge every number, push back on every assumption, but if you have not recorded what you verified, traced it back to the source document, and organized it so someone else can follow your exact logic, your skepticism is just in your head and it's not in the file. Anisha, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, Khushi, I think you are right. I think if it is not in file, it did not happen. This is what we are covering today. Not the mindset, the first team cover that we are covering a mechanics, a practical system that turns your skepticism into something anyone can pick up, follow, and verify completely. Two things, folder management and physical copy linking. Both of them exist to meet one standard. The standard has a name. It is called 100% performance standard. And everything we show you today is how you meet it. But first, let us understand why it matters.
Why does documentation organization matter? There could be four problems if your documentations are not properly organized. First is lost time. You are searching for a certain file for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and you are not able to find just because the folder is not organized properly. Secondly, review delays. Your manager is not able to trace what you have reported, and he is not able to find out where your files are, in which folder exactly it is. Your one review becomes three reviews. No trail of of the working papers with the source documents. There is a traceability break in that. Team confusion. If you are not present, is your team able to search for the same file on which you are working? If the file name is not correct, he or she may not be able to work properly. Now Anisha will take you through folder management.
Okay. Folder management is basically about the management of your digital workplace. It is a basic for any kind of project's documentation. It helps us to get rid out of the confusion of your own, to deal with the messed files and the unorganized folders. First, and the second thing, it will help us to focus on the folders, and it will also help us for the quality control and for the review submission. Next folder is about what two folder model. Corporate as a whole accept these kind of folder creation, first for the client folder and second for our working. Client folder, SharePoint, OneDrive, Share Drive, whatever your firm use, client data goes here. We read from it. We do not edit. We do not create files here. Their data should be untouched. But for our working folder, everything do lives here. We copy client's data across and work from the copy. Why does this matter? Because if a reviewer asks for the file, for a original file after a 6 month or after a year, would you be able to get the original file out of the folder? If yes, then you have a good command on your folder. If not, then you should use these type of working for the folder management. Next, if I'll talk about the subfolder structure inside a working folder organized by the topic. For example, sales, expenses, payroll, fixed asset, each area get its own folder. Inside each folder, topic folder, three subfolders should be there. That is client's data, working file, final/review. The client data for the row working and for the untouched data. Working file for your analysis and you register your own working and calculation. Final/review, one file, the version ready for your manager just to go through it. File naming. As you can see as an example here, in the first example, the files are so messed up. They are not named properly. They haven't designated properly into their subfolders. But on the other side, if you will look, they are properly organized with the name of their folders. So what is the basic difference between these two files? Here are the difference. What are the insights that you must keep in your mind while naming your folder and subfolders, and what you should do instead? First, avoid creating names like final, final 2, final file, and final, the legendary final 1, 2, 3. But instead of, you should use a version structure or a dated structure for your folder name. For example, sales register working 1. But if your co-working partner is working in the same file, ask them to modify or any changes, they must create another version. So the later version would be trusted, and everyone can get from where they can get the trusted data. And the dated folder name must be there. If, for example, you are working on a project having a period of 2 to 3 months, then you should create a dated wise submission for the folders and for the specific important files. Next. Here are the examples. For example, if you are in require of the sales register, that is for 19 March. But if you had made any kind of modification and addition into this, then you should create another folder name with the name like sales register 21st March 2026. So if another partner of your firm and senior manager is going through the folder of yours working, then he can understand easily what folder to trust and where he can find his required files. So here is the conclusion that for the folder management, there are 3 points: separate folder for the client's data and separate folder for your own working. Second is subfolder for creating and proper segregation of the data you can have for your working. And third is proper naming of the folder so that your folder is self-explanatory enough to understand what the kind of information there must be. Now Khushi will get you through the physical copy linking.
So, physical copy linking. What does physical copy linking means? This is where the question we opened with, can someone reperform your work, actually gets answered. Because the folder structure and naming get someone into the file. Physical copy linking is what lets them verify every single thing inside it. Let me show you how. Physical copy linking. What is physical copy linking? Suppose we are working on a sales register or any database or any expense file in which we have our invoice number, date, amount, vendor name. So that all of that should be linked to the source documents such as sales invoice, tax invoice, expense bill, receipt. So physical copy linking means whatever we have reported should be traceable to the source documents. So let me show you how physical copy linking works. First is what we have submitted. As I said earlier, like we are working on a sales register or we are reporting some sales figure, cost breakdowns, computed amounts. That should be traceable. The second is the index. The index is the master list of all the items which are reported. Like we are reporting some description, item, amount submitted, invoice reference number. Third is the physical invoice. Actual source documents like sales invoice, tax invoice. Let me show you an example of how we work in anti-dumping. There's a sample set which I am going to show you as an example. So here is the index. In on the left hand side, you can see there's a description, and on the right hand side, you can see the referencing. So on the left hand side, as you can see, internal product sales code. So if somebody wants to see internal product sales code on the invoice, he or she can refer 1A. 1A means page number 1 of the sample set, and A which we have reported for the internal product sales code. So if you can see on the page 1 and 1A, you can anybody can easily see the description of the goods. Similarly, if anybody wants to see the commercial invoice number 1B, he or she can refer 1B or 2B. We are linking on both page number 1, and as you can see, the second is e-waybill. So anybody can also get to know from this that this e-waybill refers to the same invoice. Like if you see 1B, invoice number 931, and 2B, document number 931. So it denotes that both of them aligns to the same invoice, as well as anybody can find what we have reported easily on the source document. So next, as I move on, there's a quick reference checklist before you close the file. First is folder management. As Anisha mentioned earlier, there should be two folders, one for the client in which the client uploads its data, and one for our working, where our working lives. Second is create subfolders for sales, cost, expense, so that everybody easily gets to know where the data exactly is for sales, for cost, for expenses. Then within the subfolders also, you should create your working folder separate and client data separate. And you should not edit the client folder. This works for everyone. Even if somebody is not using SharePoint or OneDrive, your client is sending data over the emails, you can create two separate folders and put the client data directly into the client folder and then copy it to your folder. Second is the file naming. The file naming should be proper. Everybody should get to know what the file contains. Third is physical copy linking. What you have reported should directly link to the source document. So if you are not present and somebody wants to check the data, he or she is able to easily link the data with what you have reported and what is the physical copy linking. There are some key takeaways, like separate client data folder, as we mentioned earlier, structure folder by topics, and bifurcate raw data, working file, name file so that any team member can understand them at a glance. During review, use dates and file names to version, or use a version like version 1, version 2, or use by the dates. Build an index to link every reported item in physical copy. That is your audit trail. Anisha, would you like to add something?
Yes, I would like to add into this presentation that physical linking, the example we have given in this presentation, is about the anti-dumping verification. Anti-dumping verification states explains us how a physical linking should be there with the documents that ultimately get us to a conclusion about the 100% reperformance standard. 100% reperformance standard means if someone from a complete different firm, no prior knowledge, sits down with our file and verify every figure we submitted from scratch independently. So he would be able to understand how we came to the figures, what are the source document, and uh, would it be rather original or not. Auditing standard 230 also state the same of ICAI standard audit documentation require exactly this. An experienced auditor with no prior connection to the engagement must be able to understand everything that was done from the documentation alone. Our folder structure, our naming, our index, all of it, how that standards looks in real life. Skepticism without documentation is just a opinion. The reperformance standard is how you prove your skepticism was real. Auditing standard 230 requires documentation sufficient for an experienced auditor with no prior connection to the management, to the engagement, understand how work done, audit obtains, in evidence obtained, and conclusion reached at. The 100% reperformance standard is that which will look in practice. So I would like to conclude the things here. Folder management and the physical file linking is about how you present your data, how you manage it, whether someone from your team or the stranger is able to sit down with your folders and get on the same conclusion on which you are. That means you are completely following 100% reperformance structure. That's all from our side. Thank you. Thank you all. Not you. Wasn't he?
So we can't hear you.
So it was great to hear Khushi as well as Anisha on the audit documentation. So they have rightly said it, all the participants here, that audit documentation is very important because audit really start with the questioning of why, but unless and until we have proper documentation, proper evidences to reflect upon, then those audits are not to be said that as a you have done, और हम ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के बिना ये कह ही नहीं सकते कि आपने ऑडिट किया भी है, बिकॉज ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन इज द ओनली एविडेंस दैट वी हैव टू से और टू जस्टिफाई व्हाट वी हैव डन एंड हाउ वी हैव रीच्ड टू. So that is what the exact deliverable which we have as an auditor. कि audit documentation क्या है? If you have performed your task, if you have performed your services, then properly you must be having some documentation, and that is what the audit documentation is. And what they have tried to explain here, both of them, is the organization of it. Like, because I've seen many of the times, even I would say that even in my case or maybe हम seniors भी कई बार ऐसा करते हैं कि folders के अंदर बस एक haphazard manner में बहुत सारे documents जो होते हैं वो हम place कर देते हैं. So if someone, not as a me, if someone comes in and opens that folder वो उसको बंद करके चला जाएगा, because he will not get the idea what is happening and what all documentations are there, right? But organizing it in a proper manner will help the person who is coming in next day, or maybe the person changes but the new person comes in, will be very easy for him to get an idea how the documentation has been done, how the proper like lineage is there to reflect upon, क्या linking है, वो सब कुछ properly उसको follow कर पाएगा. So which is very important, because person changes but audit वैसा का वैसा ही रहेगा, right? So that needs to be there. This is very important what we have learned today, both the part we have learned. So we have received one question from Razab Mansoori, that if management's explanation is incorrect, would our documentation reveal it? So Razab, I think our part is to get the management's explanation as a whole, right? If the management explanation is there and if it is incorrect or if it is unacceptable, then it can form part of your audit report also. So it completely depends on the auditor's approach, what they want to do. And here Anisha wants to bring something. Yeah.
First of all, I would like to explain here, audit is a general testing of the financial statement, not an investigation. First
Yeah.
of all, the auditor on his behalf try his levels 100%, try his level best to get the real documentation, get the real insight out of the financial statement. But if there is any kind of fraud which cannot be investigated by the auditor on the 100% skepticism and with the 100% of proof, it is not a prior duty of an auditor. Prior or duty of the auditor as per auditing standard 200 is to give opinion on the financial statement, not to find the fraud. So I would say ki it depends upon what type of explanation it is. If we can find an external evidence for the explanation, then well and good. Otherwise, we will ask for auditing standard 580, that is written representation. Have we retained contradictory evidence along with the supporting evidences? I didn't get Manan.
So their question, Manan, what Manan's question is, if I'm not wrong, he's trying to ask us that if we have a supporting evidence and if we have another evidence which is a contradictory evidence to our audit testing, so whether we need to retain that or not. Manan, I hope you are asking this. Yeah. So he's asking that we have two evidences. One is supporting our audit evidence, as in हमारा जो audit observation है उसको support करता है, and the other one is a contradictory evidence which is not supporting our. So Manan, here I would like to say, because you have two evidences or two documents which are saying two different stories, if I'm not wrong, right? So the as a audit documentation or as a audit, I would say as an auditor, you must always keep whatever you have received from the client, whatever you have find, right? Because that is your findings are. So keeping always all the document is necessary. But yes, when you are framing your observation, so this is based on one of your documentation support, right? So you have to build it rightly, saying that why you have chosen that supporting evidence as yours, right?
I would
Yeah,
like to answer.
Anisha. Yeah.
Sir, it depends what kind of evidence you have, whether it is for the external source or for the internal source. If you have the contradictory evidence from the external source, that need to be emphasized more in comparison to the evidence you are getting from internal basis. According with that, if you are getting two different evidence regarding your audit report, then you need to perform further audit procedure regarding that. Subsequent audit procedure, you need to re-perform, recalculate, re-understand what really happening in the company, and still you are not getting on a conclusion, then again you can ask the management for the written representation.
But yeah, ultimately, but we have to retain both the documents, right? Because ultimately we are trying to say that why we are going to that. That's why we are performing so much of testings, right? Subsequent testing we are performing to justify what we are trying to achieve, or why we are saying that audit documentation or that particular supporting evidence we are relying upon. So yeah, it was great to hear all of you here today. So both the teams, I would say, from SR Goel and from S Bhargav. So there is one thing which is missing today, to be honest, that we have prepared some certificate of appreciation for you guys, but it has due to like urgency and at the last moment, so it has not reached to your offices. But yes, you will receive at your respective offices, which will be presented by your partners to all of you. So it was great to hear Khushi as well as Anisha and Aastha as well as Shreya. So thank you so much for taking your time to learn this topic or read this topic. It was great, and I would applaud you to take this courage and to take this opportunity to take this platform as a start, because you will be needing more such webinars. Will be taking more such webinars going forward in your future. Yeah. So
Thank you, sir.
yeah, thank you so much. And anyone having any more question, they can ask. We are here. Otherwise, we can just we will be wrapping up this talent talk session. And also, I would like to add at last that talent talks will be happening on every Friday or last Friday of the month. Every last Friday of the month. So we will be continuing this series every month. You will see one session, one or two sessions every month. So please stay tuned to it. Please try to be in touch with this particular forum, and you will get to see learnings at your end.
Thank
So we are also glad for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much, sir.
Thank
It
you.
was
Thank
really
you.
a great opportunity.